Hello and welcome to J.P. Murray's Association Hustle Podcast. President of the Murray Company, JP's mission is to arm today's associations with insight and strategy to thrive in a progressively complex and competitive business landscape. 21st century associations must move forward with a little bit of hustle and revenue development at their core. Here's JP.
Welcome to the Association Hustle. Hey friends, we're headed up to number 290 some. We're getting close to 300 episodes. Thanks for being along the journey. And I want to tell you a little bit about my entrepreneurial and business journey and how it applies to associations, both in a leadership capacity, maybe in a business management area, and also in finances. Here are 3 or 4 things that I learned from running my own business that I think associations can gain from. First and foremost, man, we are all in on brand building. It's like brand building or nothing. Here's why I mention this for our association clients. I'm amazed by the lack of communication and brand building directly within an industry, in particular with people that we don't work with on a regular basis, like non-members. We post at least once a day on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. We also use 3 formats. We podcast. I then transcribe that podcast into talking points for a video, and then those transcribed talking points then become a blog. So now I've got 3 different formats. I have one piece of content. And oh, by the way, here's the other thing. I can repurpose that content 60 to 90 days from now. So this gives you that velocity and also consistency about being in the market. Like I said, your non-members don't know anything about you, and you have the opportunity now with all these different tools to improve that situation. The second thing, at least 50 to 100 contacts weekly that are revenue generating activities. I'm a big believer that CEOs should be a critical part of any fundraising operation. And in fact, for the first 7 years of the Murray Company's business, I was the lead salesperson. Now, to be honest with you, it may have kept us from growing as fast, but it did a couple of things. And I think associations that I know, the executive, the chief staff officer is in the revenue business, because here's what I think happens. Number 1, you stay connected with the industry because everyone's telling you how great you are as a chief executive. And nothing keeps you more grounded than hearing a non-member's feedback and about how they don't want to work with you. It's humbling, but it's good for you. The second, it keeps you integrated with the sales and marketing team. I think one of the more dangerous leadership traits is that we kind of become siloed, and I can't imagine a better place for the CEO actually to be actively involved than the revenue generation of the association. Number 3 is transparency with the staff, in particular around finances. I was very clear when I started this company that I was always going to share what the numbers were, because I saw in certain situations in companies that I'd worked with before, no one knew what the numbers were. They didn't understand why personnel moves were being made or different expense items were being cut or invested in. They just didn't know what the strategic implications were, and they didn't understand it. So there was always second guessing or wondering. And I think one of the things you want to remove as a leader is uncertainty. So I think it's a huge leadership and cultural advantage to share the numbers. People want to know the basis of your decisions, but mainly because it affects them. And I understand 90% of the time they're not listening as I go through the balance sheet, as I go through the profit and loss statement. But you build credibility over time, and it provides you the chance to reinforce different themes like this. They understand that there are real costs in benefits like health care and 401k. They see it. They're like, man, that costs a lot of money. Secondly, the team also has the opportunity to provide feedback. I remember a specific circumstance where we could have hired another salesperson, or we could have made the choice of just expanding the scope and the jobs that our existing team had. They decided, not me, they gave me the feedback to not hire a new salesperson, that they would take extra work because they could see the bottom line impact. So they started thinking as a group and like business people. And then finally, there's accountability. And I'm not making the assumption that people are not good stewards in the association space, but I think when you're sharing the numbers with your team members, everybody kind of gains some accountability. And that's difficult for an association because all of your members and stakeholders, in effect, and the board, they're not at the location. So when you're sharing the numbers and you're showing people what's happening in the association business, I think everyone becomes a better kind of business steward, and you become a better association manager as a result, and you build the business acumen of your staff in the process. Accountability doesn't happen automatically, but when you share these items, transparency, when you're involved in the sales operation and you're watching it and you're actually building brand, we're talking about extreme ownership. And I think that's one fantastic quality that you can have in your business, whether it's your own or whether it's an association. Hey, I appreciate you so much for listening. If you like this, go ahead and share it with a colleague. All my best wishes until we talk next week on the Association Hustle.
We hope you enjoyed this edition of J.P. Murray's Association Hustle podcast. We'd love to connect with you. Check out our blogs at moerycompany.com and subscribe to our weekly newsletter. You can also connect with JP on LinkedIn and Twitter at JP Murray, as well as the Murray Company's Instagram and Facebook page. To purchase a copy of JP's book, Association Hustle, Top Strategies for Association Growth, go to jpmurray.com.